Hey guys, and welcome to another video. Today is largely unscripted because we are going to be digging into this box. Today, I think, marks a milestone in the channel because this is kind of a big deal. There's a lot of other channels that you can watch out there where they review all sorts of machines, from Frozen, from Anycubic, Elgu, you name it. They exist already, but no one has actually reviewed one of these yet in the context that we are going to be. We are not huge advocates for the ultra budget category of machines. I really prefer mid-tier priced machines, so you get the best of both worlds. Really good engineering, really solid print quality, the machine lasts a long time, but it doesn't break the bank. Aside from that, there's also, mid-tier, and then there's the high tier. There is the professional grade tools. And this machine fits into that category. So without further ado, let's unbox the Asiga Max X 35. So we just wanted to thank Asiga because a machine such as this costs a very large amount of money. And we just wanted to thank them with their trust in us. We are going to do a whole series of videos featuring this machine, its capabilities. We're not going to necessarily try to compare this machine to others because what is the point in comparing a $300 Amazon printer to a $10,000 medical grade DLP printer? It's like comparing a Ford Focus to an F1 car. It just doesn't make sense. So we are going to be focusing on all of the highlights of this machine, its capabilities, some of the drawbacks, and we're also going to be reviewing a ton of other resins on it because a lot of the resins that we deal with, the castables, are designed for LCD and DLP machines. DLP definitely has many advantages over MSLA. Now we get a chance to try them. So anyway, I'm going to shut up. Let's get into this box. Bear with me. Opening boxes this size in the space that we have is not exactly an elegant process, so we may have quite a few cuts and yeah, things might just kind of like appear. Just forgive me in advance. So the reason why this box is rather weathered, by the way, is that this is actually their show machine. So when Asiga goes to dental conventions or jewelry shows or microfluidics, which is actually where this was last, this is the machine that they take with them. And it's just been all over the US and it's finally come to us. So there was a little guide. I briefly opened this, by the way, just to make sure that it was all right. There we go. That is how we get into a box, apparently. So, if you can still see me. Let's just open this up carefully. Because once again, this is a very expensive machine. It's a very highly tuned piece of equipment, and I do not want to wreck it. By the way, I didn't mention this. This machine is to us on loan. We have this for 3 months to play around with. And I actually have another box coming to us from Australia, where Asiga is headquartered, with other things. There's some resins, I believe, and some tanks. But once again, this is not a review of this machine yet. This is just an unboxing to show you guys what it looks like. And as I said that this is their show machine, it has been repacked as best as possible for us. But if you were to purchase one of these machines, I guarantee your unboxing experience would be a little bit different. So just bear that in mind as well. I think I've got everything. We're going to talk about all this stuff. I just want to get the machine unveiled here. That is pretty. Oh, okay. So, as I said before at the beginning of the video, this is the Asiga Max X35. This machine has been specifically designed for the jewelry industry. It has many features and things that are tailored to make it easier for jewelers and people basically printing castable materials. Makes their life way easier. So for example, let me just turn this and we'll lift the hood. Ooh, that's smooth. Ooh, that's smooth. For example, this is a environment control unit. Essentially what it's doing is it's pulling in air from within the hood, recirculating it, heating it or cooling it. It doesn't really matter. It depends on what you need. Some castables need to be printed at a certain temperature. We've seen other examples of this from, well, actually we really don't see a whole lot of examples of this anywhere else. The closest I can think of is Peopoly. Peopoly has a heated vat, but there's a problem with the heated vat in that as soon as you heat the vat, you're bringing heat close to the MSLA screen. So the screen needs to be cooled, but it's also got a hot thing on top of it. So it's just conflicting, and I feel like the Asiga way of going about it, heating just the chamber inside and the resin on top, makes a whole lot of sense. So that's really, really cool. I'm looking forward to seeing how, just how different everything is with this. This is definitely a lot bigger than I thought it would be. A lot of well, actually not a lot, I suppose. Asiga makes 3 different machine sizes. They've got the Max, the Max X, and then the Max 4K. And the 4K one is a really tall, standalone DLP machine with a much bigger build plate. The Max X fits in the middle size, and then there's one that's very similar to this, but it's a lot shorter. And that one tends to be more aimed at dental offices. This one is more for jewelry. So aside from this beautiful looking machine, we also have some accessories. Now let's get into those. First of all, let's start with these. We have some UV protective eyewear, which I frankly think almost every printer should come with. I suspect that I'm going to need this due to something that I saw earlier called a focus plate. This appears to fit here on the machine. It hasn't actually been opened yet, so I don't really know what it's for. Maybe this is an extra plate, I'm not sure. But there must be some kind of mechanism inside around the DLP projector where perhaps, again, this is all speculative, I haven't had my meeting yet with Asiga to go over this, but I suspect there's some way for the projector to adjust its focus, and I may need to actually look at that UV light source, so having these glasses will be absolutely necessary. DLP UV light is very, very intense, as compared to MSLA where you have to go have the UV shining through a screen. DLP is like direct, and it's incredibly strong. It's not unheard of for a lot of the cure times on a DLP machine to be sub 1 second. Like it's a flash and it's done. I don't want that burning into my retinas. So we've got some UV eyewear. We have an Ethernet cable. I believe this machine also has Wi-Fi, which is awesome. Then we've got the power brick, which I believe is like truly a brick. It feels heavy. I'm just going to check the wattage and the voltage. 12 volt, 10 amp. So this is honestly not going to be like a power hog. I thought it was going to be more like, full fat laptop. But I guess the DLP projector itself doesn't require all that much power. So we have the power brick and then this little guy. This is the build plate. Build plates on DLPs are usually a lot smaller than you would see on MSLA. Now, because Asiga does make these in various sizes, they've obviously overcome that. The Asiga 4K build plate is probably similar in size to this. So it's not unheard of to have large format and still have the DLP, advantages. But as this is designed for jewelry, jewelry tends to be rather small. This seems like a very appropriate size build plate. I've also poked around on the Asiga slicer called Composer, and they actually have options for part stacking. We'll get a lot more into this later on down the line, but part stacking is essentially just filling your build plate to its maximum on the Z-axis, so that you have not just, one ring, you have 3 layers of rings or 2 layers of rings. And yeah, that's going to be really, really cool. I'm intrigued by this mechanism. So this is the inside of the build plate. It seems to be probably solid aluminum, machined, sandblasted, and then it's got like a coating on it. I'm not sure what kind of coating, but it's a black finish. I like it. And then there's the inside of the build plate. And then that goes onto this magnificently complex looking Z-axis. I'm very intrigued by this. It's like, I don't understand what this mechanism is, but I suspect it has something to do with leveling the bed. And then that slips on like so and clamps tight, and that is about as solid as it could possibly get. When I'm shaking this machine, I'm noticing more flex in my table. There is not a single bit of wobble. It is absolutely perfect. And then we have our accessory kit. And we've got an unboxing guide, which I think we followed perfectly, and we'll probably be referring to later when we have to rebox it. We've got the focus plate, which I have to go read about and see what that's all for. We have a scraper, it seems, unused or unopened. I want to say this is maybe for taking off prints, but again, I don't know. I'm not going to jump to conclusions. We have an Asiga printed, branded USB stick. Very, very slick looking. I like it. I wonder if there's anything preloaded on here. That would be cool. And then we have a spatula, silicone, it seems. Not really sure what that'll be for, but probably just for cleaning off extra resin. Then we have a build tray card. This says it's for cleaning the build tray. So I suspect that'll be for cleaning the tank. Oops, we'll get to that in a second. We have a massive acorn nut for some reason. Cool. And then this thing. This is a wrench. I suspect that is for getting into the top right up there. All of these tools, they feel premium, they feel quality, everything is there. I expected absolutely nothing less. So one thing I noticed that didn't come with this machine is the actual resin vat. And that is probably because the vats are made by Asiga. They make their own FEP. I'm not really sure if you can even call it FEP. It's their own Teflon. I think it might be Teflon, but then again, Teflon is a trademark, so I really don't know. Anyway, they make their own FEPs so that they keep it in-house. Everything is met to their own standard. And when the tray itself has expired, you have to get another tray. You can't add more, replace the FEP, which I think is actually perfectly acceptable because the FEP is a critical, very, very critical part of the printing experience. And if that has any problems, you're going to get failed prints, simply put. So FEPs do have a limiting or an expiration date, and that's perfectly acceptable. When we do get those build plates, I know that they've been shipped to us, or they're being shipped to us from Australia. I think they're sending us 4 of them, plus some resin, which is really, really cool. We'll be able to get started on that. The tray mechanism is very interesting. You pull these handles to the side and you lift, and then the tank itself is held down with these little things here. And that tilts, comes down, and holds it down. I suspect that this entire unit, as it is separate from the main body, is loaded with sensors. These springs, I have a feeling, go down to another set of sensors that measure force and things like that. We're going to, again, get into all that in the review, but like, it's a beautiful machine. So we have unboxed the Asiga Max X, and I have to say I'm incredibly impressed by just the sheer build quality that I'm looking at. There's always something to be said for craftsmanship, and that I can definitely see on this machine. Just the way that this lifts up, there's a little bit of resistance, just this extra bit of aluminum, very nice. You can push it down and it closes itself, but it doesn't slam. It just kind of drops. Perfect. The feeling of the power button, nice click. It's got a bunch of things on the back here. It's a beautiful looking machine, and it is heavy. I'm really like, oh man, I kind of wish I was like a Linus-y type channel where we could open this thing up and take a look at it, you know, just tear apart this thing that a company sent me, but we're not going to do that, obviously. So I cannot wait to get this home and start using it because I am kind of speechless.